Imagine a technology so revolutionary that for centuries its formula was a state secret. A secret so valuable that revealing it was punishable by death. Empires literally rose on their ability to produce it, and its loss could send a civilization into decline.
Now, you might be thinking it was some kind of super weapon or a rare metal, but it was something far more powerful. Historical accounts tell us that empires guarded the secret with everything they had. Its possession was, without a doubt, a matter of national security.
So the real question is, how did something so fiercely protected ever get out? Well, the story of how that secret was breached is really the story of how our modern world of information came to be. And it didn't begin with an elaborate heist or a clever spy. It began with the clash of armies on a distant, dusty frontier.
Welcome to Insight History HD. Together, we will peel back the layers of narratives long locked away in the archives of history.
The secret was paper. Now, I know that might sound a little anticlimactic today, but you have to understand, it was an absolute game changer. Before paper, knowledge was literally heavy, painstakingly carved onto bulky bamboo slips, or it was wildly expensive, written on fine silk. Paper was the revolution. Suddenly, information was lightweight, affordable, and durable. It meant that ideas themselves could become portable, that they could travel, and that they could multiply. The process itself, perfected around 105 CE by a court official named Kai Lun, was pure genius. We have records showing he used the humblest of materials, things like tree bark, old rags, even discarded fishing nets, to engineer a medium that could effectively democratize knowledge. For the Han Dynasty, this wasn't just a convenience, it was a massive strategic advantage. You know how people talk about the butterfly effect? How one tiny event can ripple outwards and change everything? Well, history is full of moments like that. For paper, that pivotal moment, that flap of a butterfly's wings, was a remote battle that would, quite by accident, launch the global information age. For more than 600 years, China's technological firewall held strong. The secret did spread, but it was just a slow trickle, carried by monks along religious pathways into places like India. But then came the year 751 CE. And that slow trickle was about to become a tidal wave. The Battle of Talas. On the surface, it was a fight for control over Central Asia. But its most profound consequence wasn't about redrawing maps. It was, for all intents and purposes, a catastrophic intelligence leak. The firewall that had protected China's greatest technological secret was about to be shattered. So here's exactly how it happened. As it's detailed in the research paper Part 1, Antiquity, Silk Roads and World Religions, the Tang army was defeated, and among the prisoners of war taken were a number of skilled Chinese artisans, including master papermakers. The secret wasn't written in a manual, it was in their heads. Their knowledge was extracted, and soon after, the very first paper mill outside of China was built in Samarkand. And just like that, the secret was out. But a technology, no matter how revolutionary, is only as good as the network it can travel on. Luckily, a vast continent-spanning network already existed. We know it as the Silk Road. But as the academic paper, The Silk Road as the Progenitor of Global Information Networks argues, it helps to think of it as something much more modern, the ancient world's first internet. And when you look at it this way, the analogy is just perfect. The physical trade routes were like the data cables stretching across the land. The caravanserais, those roadside inns where travelers would stop, they were the hubs, the data centers where information was exchanged. And the paper scroll itself? Well, that was the data packet, carrying precious knowledge across the network. And this network was incredibly resilient. According to the Silk Road, a modern analogy of globalization and cultural exchange, it was active for about 1,400 years. I mean, think about that. It survived the rise and fall of countless empires. That's because it was a decentralized system, built on countless person-to-person connections, not top-down control. Of course, any network needs protocols and operators to make it run. On the Silk Road, this critical layer wasn't code or software. It was a unique group of people, the Sogdians. You could think of them as the human firmware of this ancient internet. Hailing from what's now Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, the Sogdians were the absolute masters of the network. For a millennium, they were the dominant merchants, translators, and diplomats. Their language became the common tongue of trade. They were that crucial interface, translating not just words, but entire cultures, religions, and new ideas onto this wonderfully efficient medium of paper.
And this really shows you what the true cargo of the Silk Road was. Sure, goods like silk and spices made people wealthy, but the most transformative things being moved across that network were intangible. It was technology, scientific breakthroughs, and entire philosophical systems that would have a far deeper and more lasting impact on the world.
So here's the crucial point. Paper wasn't just another product being traded. As UNESCO states, it became a vector for exchange. That word is so important. It means paper was an active agent of change. It was a technology that amplified and accelerated the transmission of all other ideas, fueling this incredible intellectual boom across Eurasia. And this network wasn't just vast. In some cases, it was shockingly fast. Centuries later, the Mongols perfected a kind of high-speed delivery service called the YAM system. And data from the Silk Road as the progenitor of global information networks shows us just how fast it was. A standard caravan might cover 30 miles a day. A message on the YAM system, it could travel up to 190 miles. This was, for all intents and purposes, the broadband of the 13th century. This entire chain of events, stretching back almost 2 millennia, isn't just some remote, dusty piece of trivia. It is a direct, unbroken line to the world we all inhabit right now, to the very way we think and share ideas.
It all began with an idea, a secret captured from the chaos of a battlefield. An idea that was finally given physical form, written on paper, and made almost weightless. So it could travel along an ancient network, a current of thought flowing between civilizations, and build the very world you know. Every book you've ever read, every document you've signed, every idea you've ever shared, it is all a direct legacy of that one moment. The information age didn't start with a silicon chip. It started with a simple sheet of paper. And so it leaves us to wonder, what secrets, what revolutionary ideas are flying across our own global networks at this very moment, destined to shape a future that we can't even begin to imagine?
If this journey has offered you a new perspective, support our exploration by subscribing to Insight History HD. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next narrative.